I want to welcome you to the Engineer Your Success podcast. My name is Dr. James Bryant, your host for the show, and it is my pleasure to guide you on your journey to designing a life where you are winning at work and at home. I'm really excited for our conversation today. We're going to talk about what I'm calling the persistence principle. So many of us have ambitions that we want to fulfill, businesses we want to create, important causes that we want to advance, but often these aspirations never materialize because it doesn't come down to the lack of planning, because many of us understand how to plan. And it doesn't come down to not knowing what to do. What it does come down to is actually taking the action and doing it. I end the podcast like this every time. Many people know what to do. Fewer people know how to do it, but there's a select group of people that actually follow through, do it, and are able to achieve and live the life of their dreams. Part of getting to the place of achieving that life is being able to apply this persistent principle. So in order to achieve your goals, we have to be willing to press past any setbacks, roadblocks, and failures that inevitably arise. And that's where this principle comes in. So let me define what I mean. So the persistence principle is the fundamental ideal that long-term success and achievement are not just results in a talent or fortunate opportunities. Rather, they stem from a steadfast commitment to consistent effort, continuous improvement, and a refusal to surrender in the face of setbacks or failures. At its core, this principle recognizes that simply having natural abilities or being in the right place at the right time is rarely enough to turn big dreams into reality. What truly separates those who accomplish great things from those whose ambitions fizzle out is an unwavering persistence, a determination to keep pushing forward, learning from mistakes, and pivoting strategies when needed until the desired goal is actually achieved. So, in thinking about this, one of the questions that comes to mind is what stops people from actually moving forward? What stops them from pushing past failure? And I think that two hurdles might be the fear of failure or fear of success. I'll clump those together. And the other one would be self doubt. So, that initial sting of failure can trigger intense insecurities about one's ability, about your ability or your self worth, right? So, this shakes our confidence, plants seeds of doubt as to whether continued efforts will only lead to more failure and disappointment, which is something that we don't want. So, this fear of re experiencing that pain of failure causes many of us, and I would say even me in the past, to prematurely abandon some pursuits that if I would have kept moving forward would have been able to yield results. So when I think about that fear of failure or fear of experiencing that pain, all of that's closely tied to this pervasive feeling of not being deserving or worthy enough to push through that pain and the challenges that are required to be able to achieve the goals. So when setbacks arise, you might hear that inner voice pipe up saying, "See, I knew I wasn't cut out for this. The struggle and the hardship just isn't worth it for someone like me." This mentality causes our persistence to crumble because we're under the belief that we simply don't have what it takes or aren't worth the effort that success demands. So, overcoming these roadblocks requires an unwavering self belief and a sense of self worth that you have to nurture this mindset that you are worth fighting through the difficulties. That type of inner tenacity separates those who turn their dreams into reality from those who settle for less. So, what I want you to do right now is to just take a moment. If you're driving, you can think through this. If you're listening to this in a place that you can stop, I really want you to take a moment and stop. And we mentioned this a few episodes ago, maybe looking in the mirror, but taking to some time to just repeat these statements. And that is, I am worthy of persisting through the struggles. I have the inner strength to keep going despite setbacks. My dreams are worth the effort required to make them a reality. And the last statement I want you to repeat is that I am worth the effort required to make my dreams a reality. I am worth the effort required to make my dreams a reality. Listen, let these positive declarations really sink in and listen to that inner voice telling you that you do have what it takes, right? Because this whole process is that you are retraining that inner voice to help support you and to help propel you forward versus being the voice that holds you back. So persistence thrives when you truly believe in your value and your potential to achieve greatness, no matter what those challenges are. When you nurture this mindset of self worth and affirming your readiness to embrace the differences ahead, you fortify the resilience required to shrug off individual failures as mere temporary setbacks. So repeat these affirmations regularly to override self doubt and fear with an unshakable conviction that your ability to persistently turn your vision into accomplishments is absolutely valid and absolutely there. So now I want to get into what I call the three pillars of the persistent principles. One is deliberate practice, the other is recognition of incremental progress, and the third is adaptive problem solving. So these things can actually help you overcome those barriers of fear of failure, fear of success, and self doubt, and feeling unworthy of persisting through those difficulties. But here's how each will address those obstacles. And there's a brief definition of each kind of built into this explanation, and that's deliberate practice. So this pillar focuses on intentionally and consistently refining skills over time through repetitive training. So by breaking your big goals down into specific skills to incrementally master, it makes achieving excellence more manageable. So these small wins in enhancing your abilities creates the confidence and positive momentum. And so this shifts the mindset from fearing an overall ambition of being too lofty to just focusing on the next skill to improve at a thorough purposeful practice. It instills the belief that with diligent effort, you are capable and worthy of attaining increased mastery bit by bit and step by step. So the persistence practice itself becomes validating proof against self doubt because you're able to see your progress. And this it gets into the second pillar, which is the recognition of incremental progress. So this pillar celebrates those small, consistent gains along the journey rather than just fixating on the final goal. By reframing success into modest, achievable steps, the sting of failures, when it does happen, is going to be less intense. And you're not going to have that daunting, overwhelming feeling because you're recognizing all of the gains, no matter how small they are, that you're making along the way. Because each tiny win provides motivational fuel to keep going and it reinforces your self worth through tangible signs of forward progress. The compounding effect of these micro victories make it easier to persist through setbacks as your efforts never feel completely wasted because when you're recognizing those small things, the efforts are not wasted. Adaptive problem solving is the ability to maintain a flexible, goal oriented mindset while adjusting approaches. And this really reduces the fear of failure. Failures aren't seen as total losses, but opportunities to gain insight and to inform your new strategy. So, this pillar nurtures a growth mindset where failures are treated as learning experience to evolve rather than blows to self-confidence. And the focus shifts to finding alternative paths around the obstacles. And that's whether you're looking at different pivots or tweaks. But this expands your ability to build your resilience and your resilience to persist by not stubbornly forcing just a singular approach. So, in essence, these three pillars provide a reassuring framework that makes persisting feel more accomplishable and self affirming. And so, those are the how those three pillars would work together. And we do a quick example of these pillars in action. You can look at Oprah Winfrey, right? At age 22, she was fired from her first job. So, as a TV reporter, I think she was told something like as if TV doesn't suit her or she's not made for TV. But then she was demoted at a Baltimore television station before really finding her voice in a morning television setup. But think about this: 7 years after that first failure, she launched her iconic talk show that dominated for over 25 years. Where would she be if she had given up after being fired or demoted that first time? Or that second time, where would she be if she did not persist? So her unwavering commitment to her craft is what ultimately led to phenomenal success. So the three pillars: deliberate practice, you're looking at building skills; incremental progress, you're fueling momentum; and adaptive problem solving, you're really allowing those breakthroughs and finding alternative ways in order to accomplish that. When you're using those things together, they nurture and support each other. And I think that's really part of this. All three of these things work together because consistent practices establishes the base, incremental wins motivate you through the challenges, and adaptability allows you to problem solve the roadblocks that are getting in your way. The key is not to get overwhelmed by that end goal, but to focus on that next immediate steps to build your skills through repetition and to measure incremental progress. And as always, I want you to adjust your approach based on the results that you get. So I'm going to end this podcast like I end every podcast, and that's this: many people know what to do, few people know how to do it. And there's a select group of people that actually follow through, do it, and are living the life of their dreams. I am Dr. James Bryant, your guide for winning at work and at home, and I want you to have a great week.